This episode of Papa's Woodshop is brought to you by Craft Supplies USA.
Hey everybody, Jason Collins, Papa's Woodshop. Welcome to this episode. Today we're going to be turning a couple of acrylic pens. Now, I don't turn much acrylic. I kind of prefer wood. So today's going to be an adventure for both of us, I guess. But we're going to turn these pens in some acrylic in honor of my high school alma mater, Bruce Trojans in Bruce, Mississippi. So we're going to turn them in blue and gold. We're also going to throw an interesting twist in at the end. And we're going to be featuring some acrylic pen finishing supplies by Craft Supplies USA. So you guys stick around. Okay, taking a look at what we've got today. As I said, my high school alma mater, the school colors are blue and gold. So we're going to be using these acrylic blanks today that are very nice blue and gold pearlescent. So I'm excited about turning those things. Today we're going to be using the gold, 24 karat gold Euro style twist ballpoint pen. And these came from Craft Supplies USA. And as a special little cherry on top of everything, we are going to be using today a couple of special pen clips. One has a treble clef for someone in the Bruce High School band. And the second one, get this open here. The second one has a football helmet and a football. Again, Bruce Trojans, my alma mater, went to high school there. My wife went to high school there. So this is going to be a pretty cool build today. So let's get these things marked up, cut up, drilled, and ready to go. Now when I cut acrylic, I don't always like to use a power saw because it's so prone to chipping and cracking. So what I like to do is I like to use just my old cheap miter box that I've got. But I want to take this opportunity to show you guys one of the features in my workbench. I've drilled 3/4 inch holes in the top of the work surface, and the workbench itself was built on kind of a modified Paulk, if you guys are familiar with Paulk's Ultimate Workbench. Really cool. You can get some plans online. I changed some things around and made it my own. But for a lot of the things that I do on the workbench, I actually have jigs built with 3/4 inch dowels on the bottom so that they actually fit right into the holes on the top of the workbench. So you just take your jig, whatever you're going to be using, line it up with the holes on the workbench. Take a little gentle persuader, and you're ready to go. Now we've already marked these up, and we're going to cut them about 1/2 inch long, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So we're going to drill the long tubes first, and we're going to stop short of coming out the bottom of the blank to hopefully reduce or eliminate any chance of blowing the bottom of the acrylic blank out. Then when we're done drilling, we'll take it over to the bandsaw and we'll cut that extra bit of blank off the bottom. Alright, so now we've got the tubes drilled out And now it's time to glue the tubes in the blank. Take a little sandpaper and rough up the tube so it can have a little better mechanical lock inside the blank when we glue it up. I don't know why I don't work with acrylic more than I do. It's pretty easy to work with. Finishing it is so much easier than wood because you don't have to apply any kind of specialty finish to it. The acrylic itself will polish up just as nice as any CA finish that you could possibly have. Well, because really all a CA finish is an acrylic coating that you put over wood. I got the wrong size punch for what I'm wanting to do. Just dab a little super glue on. Just like that. That one's glued up. There we go. Should wipe that off. Those two are ready. What I really like about working with acrylic, when you're gluing the tubes in, you don't have to wait nearly as long as you do with wood because the super glue doesn't soak into the acrylic, so it actually sets up and you're ready to take it to the lathe a lot sooner. So we'll give this a couple of minutes to dry here, and then we're going to barrel trim the ends and we'll be ready to put these on the lathe. There's really several different ways that you can trim the ends of your blank flush. You can do it with a disc sander, you can do it with a belt sander, just anything that's going to provide that flat surface there. Today what we're using is a 3/4 inch pinmill head and a 6mm pilot shaft from Craft Supplies USA. These things do a great job. I mean, over the years I found that this is absolutely the easiest and most consistent way to trim the end of the blank square and flush, and then also clean out the tube at the same time. And it's literally just as easy as that. There we go. That blank's ready. Let's do the rest of them. All right, we are here on the lathe. Got everything chucked up and we're ready to go. So let's start turning this thing. we have this down good enough so that we can start moving into some of the sanding. So for the finishing on this pin, we're going to be using Craft Supplies USA's acrylic pin finishing kit. And it comes with some sanding screens, 7 different grits. It also comes with plastic polish and a set of micro mesh pads, which go, oh my gosh, they go all the way up to, I think, 2400. We'll look at that in just a second. I can't actually remember the top grit numbers, but we're going to start out with these coarser sanding pads, and they start out at 80 grit and they go all the way up to, I believe, 600. Yep. So we're gonna work this from 80 grit all the way up to 600, and then we'll start polishing it. Okay, that's at 80. Now we're going to step it up through the grits. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You guys are going to get a lot more time-lapse compression stuff because, let's face it, sanding is about the most boring thing you can do. So I'm going to finish this thing out and we'll take a look at it when we're done. Okay, this is the final micro mesh pad. So this would be the 12,000 grit. And calling it grit is almost comical because it really, I mean, it feels like, I don't know, just like a wet piece of rubber or leather or something. There's not much grit to it whatsoever. But it does a fantastic job polishing acrylic and CA super glue finishes. So let's take a look and see how things look right now. That is pretty slick and shiny. The only thing left to do is to take some of the Craftics 2020 plastic polish and polish this even more. It just takes a tiny, tiny little bit of this. This is really, I don't know if you can see, but this is absolutely wonderfully shiny and beautiful. I'm going to do a couple more buffings with the plastic polish, and then we'll go put this pen together. I like to take and glue the beauty ring onto the top portion of the pen. Do that first, and then when you're ready to finish assembling the pen, this will have had time to dry. And literally all you have to do is just put just a tiny bit of super glue right on this band. Put it on there, give it a little twist around, and then just set it off to the side and let it dry. Then moving on to assembling the body or the nib of the pen. So we need a few things. We need our transmission, we need our nib, and we need the ink cartridge. And what I like to do is I like to put the nib on first. Just like that. Then I like to put the transmission in. Now, the transmission is kind of tricky because you have to pay very close attention not to get it in too far, because then when you try to retract the pen to put it in your pocket, it won't retract all the way. So what I do is I push it in a little bit, and then I put the ink cartridge in, and I work the transmission, and I take a look at it. It needs to go in further. Needs to go in further. You can always go in a little further, but it's very, very difficult if you over insert one, because then you have to take the pen apart. And we're probably going to do a video on disassembling a pen and correcting some problems here pretty soon, but trust me when I tell you, it is absolutely no fun. Now it's barely peeking through now, so now we go very slowly. We take very, very small bites here to get it into the perfect position. Just a touch more. There, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So now we put the cap in. Our beauty ring has had time to dry, and because we're using a specialty clip, we're going to take this apart. We're going to lay this aside. We're going to put the threaded insert in. Raise this up a little bit. We're going to press the threaded insert into the pin. We're going to pick up the part we dropped. That could press in just a tiny bit more. There we go. Excellent. We take the standard clip off, and we're going to put the decorative, the specialty, the football clip on. There we go. And now it's just a matter of sliding the pen together, and there you have it. A wonderful acrylic, European style twist ballpoint pen.